Hello and welcome to IP Study Video Lectures, and today we are going to discuss chapter 15 from grade 8 social science, and the name of the chapter is Human Resources. In this chapter we are going to cover few important topics. Firstly, distribution of population followed by population density, factors affecting the distribution of population, then population change, population composition, and lastly population growth and development. So before we discuss the first topic, let us understand the significance of human resources. So human resources are very important for a country because human resources help a particular country to fulfill its needs or meet its needs and also contribute to the economic growth and development. Okay, a country with good human resources can achieve significant economic growth and prosperity, we can say. Also, human resources are considered the most important resource among all the resources because it is the human with their knowledge, their skills, their abilities that they utilize and transform other resources in the best possible way. For example, today we have iron and steel, but is that iron and steel directly available in nature? No, it is the human with their skill, abilities and knowledge that they extracted that particular metal from iron ore and utilize it. So it is the human who transforms other resources and make best use of other resources. Also, we should understand human resources are not uniformly distributed over the globe. Okay, some areas we find a large number of population, or it is densely populated, or in some areas the population is very sparse. Okay. So when we talk about the densely populated region in the world, more than half of the world population lives in these particular countries, 7 countries: China, India, the United States of America, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria and Brazil. So these 7 countries constitute more than half of the world population or human resource. Now, first topic, distribution of population. So what does population distribution mean? So population distribution refers to the pattern in which people live across the globe or pattern in which people are distributed. Okay, as we have already discussed, it is not uniform. Some regions of the world are densely populated, some are sparsely populated. If we see the sparsely populated region in the world, we find places like Antarctica, places like Sahara Desert, because of the hostile environment. It could be extreme weather condition or extreme topography or rugged relief. Because of different factors, less population or few people live in such regions. Okay, so these are the sparsely populated region. On the other hand, we also find densely populated region. Suppose, for example, the Ganga Plain. It is densely populated region because of the favorable environment. We have fertile soil, we have water supply, we have a good amount of transportation network. So all these factors contributed to the settlement of large number of people. Now when we talk about population distribution in India, it is also not uniform because places like Uttar Pradesh, it accounts for 16.5% of the country's total population, but on the other hand, states like Rajasthan, it only accounts for 5.5%. Okay, so same thing, different factors plays important role in distribution. Could be resources, could be relief, could be climate. Now we'll discuss population density. What is population density? So population density is a measurement of the number of people living in a unit area on the earth's surface, or in simple terms we can say number of people living in square kilometer. So people living per square kilometer. Suppose this is 1 kilometer, this is 1 kilometer. Okay, so 1. So people living in this particular region, we can say people living per square kilometer. Okay, population density is the number of people living per square kilometer. Similarly to the population distribution, the density of population is also not uniform. There are some regions where the population density is very high, means large number of people live in a particular unit of land. In some area, population density is very low, that means few people live in that particular land. When we see the average density of population in the world, it is 61 people per square kilometer. Okay. And based on the population density, the world can be divided into three categories. Firstly, thickly populated region. Secondly, moderately populated region. And lastly, sparsely populated region. So let us discuss the thickly populated region. So these areas have high population densities due to favorable condition. It could be fertile soil. It could be suitable climate. It could be abundant supply of water. It could be strong economics or good transportation or infrastructure development or basic necessities or social needs. So all these factors lead to the huge settlement of people in that particular region. So thickly populated region, for example, Southeast and South Asian region, Western Europe, West Africa and Northeastern United States. So these regions of the world are thickly populated. When we see this moderately populated region, in this area moderate number of people live because again various factors influence it. It could be moderate climate, it could be moderate facilities, basic healthcare. So all these facilities influence the number of people living in the region. For example, Scandinavia, we can say Scandinavian countries, Canada, Australia, Argentina, Central Europe and Southern United States. And lastly, sparsely populated region. Here only few number of people or small pockets of people live in this region because of again different factors. Could be extreme climate, extreme environment. Okay. For example, Siberia, very cold. Canadian Arctic, Amazon rainforest, thick rainforest. As such, it is very difficult to live there. Greenland, Patagonia and Central Sahara. So because of the various factor, population density also varies. Now let us see the factors affecting distribution of population. As I have already discussed, there are factors that influence the distribution and density of population. So what are these factors? First, we will discuss geographical and then we will see social, cultural and economic. So firstly, geographical factors which are very important. Relief. So relief influence the number of people living in a particular region because people prefer to live in plains rather than rugged, steep slope or mountains. Okay. So people normally tend to live in plain region because of the availability of land. As I have already discussed, the fertile Ganga plain, because of the fertile soil, at the same time the space available to build settlements or industries. So because of all this region, people tend to live in plains. For example, all the fertile alluvial plain are densely populated in comparison to mountainous region like the Himalayas, Alps, Andes. So these mountainous region are sparsely populated or comparatively less number of people live in this region when we compare to the fertile plain land. Second, climate. So areas that has extreme climate are less populated. For example, the desert region, be it cold desert or hot desert. So in desert region, the climate is very extreme. Either it is very cold or it is very hot. So people tend to avoid such places and they live in some other places. Okay, for example, Siberia, Sahara, northern Canada. Because of the extreme climatic condition in this region, people do not live there, or we can say large number of people do not build settlement there. Thirdly, natural resources. So where places where natural resources are available, or we can say fertile soil, abundant water supply or minerals are available, people tend to live in those regions. Fourthly, soil. Regions with fertile soil are densely populated in comparison to regions where soil is not that fertile. For example, the Ganga-Brahmaputra basin in India, Hongho in China, Nile Valley. So these regions are densely populated because of the fertile soil. Water. Region with abundant water supply, people tend to live in those regions in comparison to places where water supply is less, or we say ki scarce water supply is there. For example, the desert region where water supply is very less. People do not like to live there. Okay. Minerals, availability of minerals also attract people. Such places where mineral resources are found, people tend to live there because there are job opportunities there also. Firstly, mining is there. Secondly, industries also tend to be established near the regions where raw materials are available or minerals are available. So, because of the job opportunities also, people tend to live near the places where minerals are available. So, these are the geographical factors. Now come to the social, economic and cultural factors. When we talk about the social factor, areas where basic amenities or facilities are available, people tend to live in those areas. Such as when we talk about the basic facilities, we talk about healthcare, we talk about education, we talk about housing, sanitation. So, where all these basic facilities are available, people tend to live there. For example, Delhi. Okay, Delhi has high population density, or we can say population, because of these facilities. Okay. Second, cultural factors. Places with religious importance are also densely populated. Varanasi, Badrinath, Jerusalem, Vatican City, because it carries some religious significance and sentiments of people are connected with these places. So, people tend to live in these places. Economic factors. Reason where economic development is going on, or they economically it is well developed. People tend to live in those regions because of job opportunities, we can say because of the financial benefits and many other facilities also. Example, Delhi, Mumbai, London, Osaka and Pittsburgh. So now the next topic is population change. So what is population change? Population change is the variation in the size and the composition of population in a specific period of time. Okay, so variation in size and composition of a population refers to the population change, and there are various factors that influence population change. For example, birth rates, death rates and life expectancy and migration. So first we will discuss birth rates. So what are birth rates? So birth rates refers to the number of babies born in a year per 1,000 people in the total population. So, how many babies were born in a particular year? It could be 500 per 1,000. Okay, so this calculation is per 1,000, number of babies born per 1,000 people in the total population. Okay. On the other hand, we have death rates. What is death rates? Number of people dying per 1,000 people. So suppose death rate is 300. So per 300 people died per 1,000 people in a particular year. So the difference between the death rate and birth rate is called the natural growth rate. So what does the difference mean? Suppose the birth rate is higher than the death rate. Here 500 babies were born, only 300 people died. So we have increase of 200. As such, we can say the population has increased. Or it is also possible that the situation can be reversed. 300 babies were born, 500 people died, minus 200. We can say the population has declined. So the difference between the birth rate and death rate is called the natural growth rate. Okay. So it helps us to understand, on the natural growth rate, it helps us to understand the population growth or decline. It is expressed in percentage, and when birth rate exceeds death rate, population increase. When when death rate exceeds birth rate, population declines. Now let us see population change in the last 150 years. In the past 150 years, we have seen improvements in healthcare, we have seen improvements in sanitation and other facilities. As a result, the death rate has declined in most of the part of the world. On the other hand, the birth rate has also declined, but only in economically developed countries. So those countries where economy is developed or they are already developed, birth rates have declined in that countries. However, in underdeveloped countries, birth rates are still very high. So as a result, of increasing birth rates and decreasing death rates, the population has increased in the past 150 years. So let us see a data. In 1804, population reached 1 billion, and by 2022, it passed 8 billion. So we can see the growth of population, and this rapid and sudden increase in the population is called population explosion. Okay, so the population explosion refers to the sudden and rapid increase in the population in an area. Now let us discuss life expectancy. So what is life expectancy? So life expectancy refers to the average number of years a person is expected to live in a particular country is known as life expectancy. Okay, and life expectancy is a crucial indicator of standard of living, quality of life, healthcare facilities and other basic facilities. Okay, because people generally live longer in countries or places where healthcare facilities are good, or people get to eat enough food, or we can say nutrition level is high, or we can say better sanitation is there, or we can say the environment is not polluted. Okay, or we can say that the quality of life or standard of living is good. So in countries with all these criteria, or we can say countries that actually fulfill all these criteria, people or baby getting born in those countries are expected to live a longer life in comparison to people or babies who are born in underdeveloped countries. Okay, so the higher the life expectancy, the better is the quality of life in a country. Okay, however, we should understand life expectancy is also influenced by war, disease and famine. In COVID, huge number of people died. Okay, not only in underdeveloped countries but also in developed countries. So pandemic or diseases. During war, same thing happens. Now lastly, migration. What is migration? Migration refers to the movement of people from one region to another. Migration can be permanent, temporary, voluntary or forced. Okay, so movement of people from one region to another, it can be permanent. Suppose I move to USA permanently, it can happen. Temporarily, I move to USA for few years to work. I'll come back to India. Okay, that is temporary. Voluntary, I willingly went to USA. That is voluntary. Forced, I was forced to go to USA due to it can be because of war, it can be because of disease, or it can be because of anything. So forced, permanent, temporary, voluntary or forced migration. Okay, now migration can be internal and international. What do you mean by internal and international? Internal means within the country. I moved from Delhi to Mumbai, that is internal. I moved to USA from India, that is international. Now there are two important factors that influence migration. One, push factors, another pull factor. So what are push factors? Push factors are those factors that force a person to move from an area. It can be war, it can be natural disaster, it can be diseases, it can be lack of job opportunities. Okay, so all these factors, it forces a person to leave a particular area and move to another area. So these are push factors. On the other hand, we have pull factors. What are pull factors? These factors attract people. Okay, it can be better job opportunities, it can be better housing facility, it can be better government policies, so it better education. So there are many factors that actually attracts people, and these are called pull factors. Okay, push and pull factors. So the next topic is population composition. So what is population composition? It refers to the structure of population of a particular country. Okay, and it has different characteristics like age, race, literacy, gender, marital status, and these characteristics it vary from country to country. Firstly, we'll discuss the age composition. Okay, so what is age composition? It refers to the distribution of people across different age group in a country. Okay, so distribution of people across different age group. Okay, so the age composition help us to understand the overall age composition of a particular group, community or country. In simple terms, we can say what portion or what percentage of population is under 18 years, or what proportion or percentage of population is above 18 or below 16, that is working population, and what proportion or percentage of population is above 60 years. So age composition actually groups people based on their age groups. Okay. Now comes population pyramid. It is also called age-sex pyramid. It is a graphical representation of population's age and gender structure. So this is population pyramid. Okay, and this is a graphical structure or representation. A representation of what? Population, age and gender. Okay. And what does population pyramid shows? It shows distribution of males and females in different age group. Left side male, right side female, and these are the different age group, and see the distribution of population in different age groups. Okay, so population pyramid is a graphical representation. So now let us see this graphical representation in detail. The vertical axis shows different age groups. This is the vertical axis. This is the vertical axis, and it shows different age groups. See. On the other hand, the horizontal axis, already we discussed the gender. Okay. And on the vertical axis, the youngest age group, they are mostly on the bottom, followed by the working age group and retired, or we can say above 60. So population pyramid, it helps us to understand the total proportion of population that is dependent. At the same time, it also helps us to understand the birth rate and death rates, and depending upon the age and gender structure of different countries, population pyramid, the shape of the population pyramid also varies. So the population pyramid of India is different than the population pyramid of China. So in countries with high birth rates and high death rates, mostly underdeveloped countries, the population pyramid is very broader at the bottom, and it becomes like this. It narrows down at the top. And what does this show? This shows that a large number of babies are getting born, but they do not survive or live long enough to become adults, and adults, they do not live long enough to become very old. So the pyramid, it shrinks rapidly like this. So a broad base and a narrow top. Countries mostly Kenya, Afghanistan and Niger, these underdeveloped countries has such population pyramid. Now on the other hand, let us see the population pyramid of developing countries like India. In developing countries like India, we also have a very broad base, which means high birth rates, but the broad base, it does not narrow down rapidly. Okay. See, this particular portion is broad, which means the number of babies getting born, they survive or live to become adults. So what does this signify? This signifies better healthcare, better facilities, better nutrition and better other basic amenities. So a population pyramid with broader base and broader broader working population means that these countries are developing. Okay, for example, India and such countries, they have a large proportion of working population. As a result, stronger and growing workforce. Now, developed countries. In developed countries, we know the birth rate is very low. So the the base is very narrow. On the other hand, we have a broad working population and also old age group. So what does it mean? It means that fewer number of childs are getting born. On the other hand, the previous generation children, they have become adult, they have survived and they have now become adult, and the generation before that, they have become old. As such, this signifies a well-developed country with better healthcare, proper sanitation, better nutrition and other facilities. See. And if you look at the pyramid, the section that represents the older population is much broader in comparison to India or underdeveloped countries like Kenya. Okay, so the shape of the population pyramid also tell us about the level of standard of living, or we can say the level of development in that particular country. Now let us discuss sex ratio. What is sex ratio? It is defined as the number of female per 1000 male. So 990. What does it mean? It means that per 1000 males there are 990 females. Okay. And according to the census 2011, the world sex ratio was 984 females per 1000 males, while in India it was 943 per 1000. So India's sex ratio is we can say not good, or it's not or we can say the world sex ratio is better than Indian sex ratio. And why sex ratio is important? Because it shows the condition of woman or female in a particular country, the societal norms. Okay, we can say that a country with very low sex ratio signifies that female infanticides or foeticide is practiced, or male preference is there. So it also shows the social condition of a particular region or a country. Okay, sex ratio. So better the sex ratio, better the country when it comes to societal norms. Lastly, literacy. So literacy refers to the skill to read and write in a particular language, at least one language. Okay, and literacy is very important because it is through literacy we acquire information and knowledge. Literacy helps us to bring a positive change in our life, also add value in our life. When we talk about literacy, in 2011, India's literacy was 74.04%. Okay, in males it was 82.14%, and in females it was 65.46%. So literacy level also shows the condition of woman, right? So we can see that the sex ratio and literacy level also shows the same thing, the condition of woman. Okay, how much we are actually focusing on educating the girls or the female of the country. Okay, so it is because of this underperformance, Indian government also introduced Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Yojana. Why? To encourage education or literacy among the girls. When we talk about the states, Kerala had the highest literacy with 93.91% and Bihar had the lowest with 63.82%. Now let us discuss the last topic, that is population growth and development. So population growth and development go hand in hand because the growth of population has a great influence on the economic as well as social structure of a country. It influences the beneficial utilization of resource. Okay, so we can see that the developed countries, they have low population, as such the standard of living is very high, quality of life is good. On the other hand, in underdeveloped countries, the population is very high and the standard of living is very low, and a large number of people, they are mostly engaged in primary sector like agriculture, mining, fishing. So thus we understand population growth and development are related. So now let us summarize the important points we have discussed in the lecture. Firstly, human resources or population is not uniformly distributed, right? The population density is the measurement of the number of people living in an area. Okay, population density refers to the population or people living in a particular region. Some area has high population density, some has very low population density, also because of various factors that influences the distribution of population. The factors that affected distribution of population are relief or topography, climate, mineral resources and other. Population change depends upon birth rate, death rate, life expectancy and migration. When we talk about the population composition, it has some important characteristics like age, sex ratio, race, marital status and literacy. So with this I end the chapter. I hope this lecture was able to clear your doubt regarding the chapter, and we'll again meet in our next lecture. Thank you.